Greetings and hello. My name is Paul Lear, and welcome to ValorTube.com. I'm an original content provider here at ValorTube.com. I'd like to take the time to welcome everybody to This Week in Prophecy. So this week we are going to start in Saloty, Russia. Looking at Ezekiel 38 and 39, cliff notes of the prophecy, Russia and some friends eventually will invade Israel from the north, and it would appear, it's not appear, it's a stated goal. Putin wants to control the gas market, oil and gas market to Europe, and a couple of things are standing in his way. One would be the Ukraine, and the other would be Israel. And this week, he has moved a bunch of troops, and I've seen video, train loads of tanks headed toward the Ukrainian border. And we have that along with what appears to be a buildup on the Ukraine border. Just to give you guys a little bit of a understanding, down here's the Crimean Peninsula. Here we have Ukraine. Here is the Russian-Ukraine border. And this, where the red marker is Saloty, Russia. And we will go to BuzzFeedNews.com. And we have some satellite images from BuzzFeed. And this was taken here, the one I'm showing you right now, yes, September 7th, 2021. Then you slide this over, and you can see what things look like on December 5, 2021, so about a week ago. So it would appear there is a significant buildup of tanks, stuff. I can't tell for sure. There's a lot more vehicles there from September to December. And again, we're looking at December 5 in this view. Scan this back over. You're looking at September 7. Just more stuff. Russian forces in Saloty near the border with Ukraine. And this is from Maxar Technologies. BuzzFeedNews.com. So, and it does stand to reason, if the guy wants to really control the gas market, he's going to shore things up. And we'll look at this again. So here it is again, September 7, December 5th. Somebody can probably zoom in and tell what those things are a little bit better. Of course, there's the usual posturing. The G7, this came out today, or tonight. G7 warns Russia of massive consequences if it attacks Ukraine. Biden had a little face-to-face over Zoom, stared him down, lectured him. I'm sure Putin was scared. Group of Seven warned Russia on Sunday of massive consequences and severe costs if President Vladimir Putin attacks Ukraine, according to a draft statement. And I've seen this number of 175,000 troops. I've seen that in multiple places. I don't think that's something that the G7 or the West is making up. Plenty of other sources out there with the same number. Meeting northern English city of Liverpool, G7 delegates said if they were united in their condemnation of Russia's military buildup near the Ukraine, and they called on Moscow to de-escalate. So there you go. There's Putin. Looks pretty concerned about it. Here we go. We got some red line talk again. For Moscow, the growing NATO embrace a neighboring former Soviet republic and what it sees as the nightmare possibility of alliance missiles in Ukraine targeted against Russia is a red line. It will not allow to be crossed. Well, I've also seen reports out there that the United States and NATO is willing to move missiles to Poland, put them on Russia's doorstep. So things appear to be ramping up. Again, it's economic reasons, oil and gas control. Um, and it does stand to reason, for in order for Russia to control oil and gas, they're probably going to need to control Ukraine and eventually Israel. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how that happens. We're going to go from there, from Russia, to 2 Timothy 3, verse 7. I'm sorry, 2 Timothy 3, just 2 Timothy 3, chapter 3. But understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty, for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness but denying its power. Avoid such people. And that's kind of where we are right now, just a broad brush statement. And we can see this none other than, this is an article from dailymail.co.uk. 12 major cities in the United States break homicide records in November, or in 2021. We still got, half a month ago. We can push these numbers up a little higher. But if you look at major metropolitans across the United States, murders are up. And to the point, specifically looking at Philadelphia, 521 murders so far in 2021. They have surpassed LA and New York in regards to the number of murders. Now, conspicuously missing on this report is Chicago. I don't know how many people have been killed in Chicago this year, but somebody's always talking about weekend violence in Chicago over the weekend, or this many people were killed. Also, Portland was in the crosshairs. Now, Portland, I'm sure plenty of you guys know about this. They, I think, cut $15 million. Yeah, here it is. They cut $15 million from their police budgets last year during Black Lives Matter protest, and they were going to manage crime, call in some social workers, have some chats with these folks, and see if that would help stem the violence. Well, they're rethinking that in Portland, and they have restored 5.2 million of the 15 million that they cut. And this is Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler, a Democrat. He made this comment: many Portlanders no longer feel safe, and it is our duty as leaders of the city to take action and deliver better results within our crisis response system. So we're going to start stair-stepping some police back in and cut back on the social workers. Okay. 1,000 shootings, though, thus far in Portland. 314 have been injured by bullets and guns and have accounted for 3/4 of the homicides. Police attribute much of the gun violence to gangs, fights, and retaliation killings. But the shooting wave is also killing and injuring bystanders. So, rethinking fighting crime out there, and they're finding out that you have to actually use police to enforce the law, and that having people sit around and talk about it, trying to have a rational conversation with a convict, isn't working too well. A lot of other cities are bringing COVID. I'm not even going to get into that, but it's out there. But again, I think it speaks to the time that we're in, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty where we're having social breakdown here in the United States. It is what it is. Transition from crime to the United Nations. And this week, actually, this went out probably within the month or so. This is a United Nations photo, and this is the guardian for international peace and security. This statue, this little fella right here, this statue. was created by artists Jacobo and Maria Angeles. And the Guardian is a fusion of a jaguar and eagle and donated by the government of Oaxaca, Mexico. Well, now this image just conjures up all kinds of thought in regards to Daniel's beast, and I believe it's Daniel 7. But there are plenty of people commenting on this, and the thing to me was the word safety. International, a guardian for international peace and security, or peace and safety, depending on which translation of the Bible you're going to want to use. But just the idea of the UN guardians for peace, stability, certainty, reliability. Really, I have no confidence in that bunch. And they're using our tax dollars. Sign of the times, Jesus is getting closer. While people are saying there is peace and security, then sudden destruction will come upon them as labor pains come upon a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. So sometime, at some point in the future, somebody's going to come forward with just ridiculous confidence and surety, and they're going to tell you peace is here. Peace and stability, reliability. I mean, it is just a statement of fact. We are going to have peace, and it's not going to happen. And when you start to hear those things, that's when it's time to get nervous. When things start looking really good from the world's perspective, things are about to break down and fall apart. So sadly, as long as we're still fighting and getting after it, I mean, that's discord. I'm not pro-war or pro-violence. Jesus said those things must happen first before the end. But eventually, people will get fed up enough, and a false Christ will come along and claim to have the answers. But obviously, he won't. So we'll transition from the UN to China. China, Revelation 9, China's going to do a lot of destruction at some point in the 7-year tribulation. And they say, this is according to The Sun, China plans to build a 12,000 mile per hour hypersonic plane. Can whiz 10 people anywhere on Earth in an hour. That's a pretty bold statement. New hypersonic aircraft. Here's what it looks like. Complex aerodynamic design allows the aircraft to travel faster than 5 times the speed of sound. And this is per the South China Morning Post that this information came out. Now, this would be like the New York Times in the United States. So this is China's premier state-run mouthpiece. This is what they want us to hear, or what they're telling us, or what they want us to believe. 148-foot plane has 2 air-breathing engines mounted on top of its main body. Complex aerodynamic design allows aircraft to travel faster than 5 times the speed of sound. So, allegedly, the concept has proven effective in China's latest space missions. We'll see. Spots would be most likely to suffer sudden spikes of heat and pressure when the plane reaches 6 times the speed of sound, or 4,447 miles per hour. Makes you wonder what happened when said plane got to going that fast. I don't know that we're going to hear about that, but clearly there was a problem. And they've had 2 space missions. Showed the concept worked. Okay. And by 2025, aims to complete experiments to verify all the key components. New air-breathing engine that can push an aircraft to rocket speed. Okay, here we go. According to the Chinese. And, again, they probably are going to have some advancements in technology that will bring about the devastation that's discussed in Revelation 9. and their 200 million man army. What happens with that? And lastly, we will close with Pope Francis, and this is out of the New Zealand Herald.co.nz. I'm just going to read what Pope Francis has to say. And Pope Francis says, extramarital sex sins aren't that, quote, serious. So he's breaking it down, and we're going to be introduced here. If you guys have followed the Pope, I say this at the risk of upsetting lots of Catholics here, but just quoting what he's saying. And he says that lust is not the worst of the seven deadly sins. So we're going to have Francis's sliding scale of sin. Sins of the flesh are not the most serious, the Pope says. This is hysterical. Top transgressions include pride and hatred, according to Reuters. So I guess we're referring to a Reuters article now for moral guidance and how to behave instead of the Bible. Reuters reported on this. And a lot of this has to do with the resignation of a Paris archbishop who quit over a relationship with a woman earlier this month. Now, I thought these folks were sworn to an oath of celibacy, for one. That's got its own set of issues, which isn't recommended. But this is the 70-year-old French cleric, Michel Aupetit. He denied being intimate with an anonymous female that would break his promise of celibacy. Again, this is according to a Reuters story, and this is where Francis starts making some comments. We're going to quote Pope Francis. It was a failing against the sixth commandment, you shall not commit adultery, but not a total failing, not a total one. One of small caresses, a massage given to his secretary. That's what the accusation is. There is a sin there, but not the worst kind. I mean, this is coming from a group of people who's had all kinds of issues of sexual abuse with, young kids, women. I don't know that we really need the Pope stepping out with his sliding scale of sin on this, but he is. He was condemned, but by who? By public opinion, by gossip. He could no longer govern, Francis told reporters. I accepted the resignation of Aupetit not on the altar of truth, but on the altar of hypocrisy. So Pope Francis is fed up with hypocrisy. Now, that said, let's take a look at James 2, verse 10 and 11. Whoever keeps the whole law but stumbles at just one point is guilty of breaking all of it. So, and I love it because here's the context of that verse. For he who said, do not commit adultery, also said, do not commit murder. If you do not commit adultery, but do commit murder, you have become a lawbreaker. Well, you break one, you break them all. And so a sin is a sin. There is no sliding scale for sin, as Francis suggests. The expectation of the law is perfection. And humanity in its current fallen state is not capable of delivering that. Only one has done that, and he died on a cross, and he paid for all these transgressions. That's Jesus. He's the only one that's not a lawbreaker. And it's his payment, sacrificing his blood as a payment for sin to the Father, is how we're clean. We take his efforts, not ours, and we're not capable. We're capable of sinning, but we're not capable of paying for sin. But Francis has his sliding scale of sin, and he's tired of hypocrisy. So, at any rate, that's what we got for this week in prophecy. If you guys enjoyed that, please feel free to share with others at valortube.com. And look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Hope you have a great week. Take it easy. Bye.